Chip Kelly just had a great year at Ohio State, but Chip Kelly is no longer the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. And I know this because the news broke a little while ago. He's headed to Las Vegas, not for the UNLV job. That was already taken. He's going there to coach the Raiders. So there's that. All right. My default position is I always hate it when big-name coaches, good coaches, leave our game for the Sunday game. But it is Chip Kelly's constitutional right to do so. So we wish him a fond farewell. Ryan Day's got like 37 coaching openings up there now. Not exactly 37, but it's not far away from that. So we got Jim Knowles, defensive coordinator, gone. We got Justin Fry, offensive line coach, gone. We've got now Chip Kelly, just in the last few hours, offensive coordinator, gone. When I was growing up in rural Georgia, Harris County, Fortson, to be specific, I had a great neighborhood. Don't want to get as specific as to tell you what the neighborhood was. Have loved ones that still live there. But we had such a good group. It was the Sandlot situation, basically, where you got all these kids who are the same age as you, and you're all growing up together. And it's like, man, all the summers can come and go, and like it's never going to end, and then it has to end. So, like, Chris moves away. Ricky moves away. Sean moves away. Andy moves away. Chris moves to another neighborhood. And like it all happened in one summer. And all of a sudden, childhood's over. And that's kind of Ryan Day. Ryan Day's still in Columbus, Ohio, but you've got your offensive coordinator gone, your defensive coordinator gone, your offensive line coach gone. Oh, your quarterback's gone, both your tailbacks are gone, your offensive line, defensive line, not entirely, but a lot of them are gone. So this is the world of college football. It doesn't make it easy, but I am not coming to you tonight to incite a panic. I am coming to you tonight, at least if you're an Ohio State fan, with a very calming and reassuring message. That's what we should be delivering on Sunday, I think. So, Daryl in Dayton, Andy in Ashtabula, Larry in Lima, I want you to listen to me. Ryan Day makes $10.2 million a year. So it is his job to panic right now, but it is not your job to panic. Just like I told your neighbors to the north this time last year, you just won a national championship. That's worth a lot of runway. That is worth a lot of time for you to sigh and breathe out and relax and kick your feet up and enjoy it. Enjoy it. It may happen again next year. It may not happen again for a decade, but you don't want to be spending February freaked out about coaching changes. Worry about that in spring, or worry about that the latter part of the summer. I would encourage you to adopt the mentality, of course, check your local message board every day. Yes, listen to your local podcast or your local radio show every day, but enjoy this. You're not being paid $10.2 million a year to worry about this. Ryan Day is, which brings me to my next point. You know what? We won't call him on the show, but I am curious about how Ryan Day responds to this. Ryan Day's been doing like an all-world media tour. I've seen Ryan Day doing things that I never thought I'd see him do in a million years. I saw him hitting softballs and talking to Kelly Clarkson in the same week. Just total fever dream stuff. And so I will say this. If I were Ryan Day, I'd be calling active head coaches right now. Twofold. Let me give you the first very unserious approach I have. If I were Ryan Day, I just won a national championship. I'm untouchable now. There's a part of me, the really, really sick, dark, twisted part of me that only Jesse and Colin get to see. I'd call James Franklin and offer him the offensive coordinator position. I'd call Signetti. I'd call Bielema. I'd call Luke Fickell. I'd call the head coaches in the Big Ten. Or I'd offer the job publicly on social. Okay, like if Lane Kiffin coached at Ohio State, that's how he'd handle things. Your retort in the comments later will be, that's one reason Lane Kiffin's not the head coach at Ohio State. I get it. All right, I'll grant you that. So that's the unserious approach. But here's the semi-serious approach. This time last year, he had just hired Bill O'Brien, which is this long-forgotten part of Ohio State football history because it lasted like a week or maybe less than that. And then Bill O'Brien gets the head coaching job at Boston College. Do you remember how you felt at that moment? Because it felt like a great big setback. And then what did you find out? You found out Chip Kelly was available. Well, you didn't know Chip Kelly was available because for any other program, Chip Kelly wouldn't have been available. But it was the perfect situation where you've got a ready-made winner here. I'm Chip Kelly. I'm looking to get out of UCLA, in his case, and I want to go just coach football. So Ryan Day was able to make that hire. Point being, nobody's hot board had Chip Kelly's name on it. I'm sure over on Bucknuts right now, uh, all of our guys, our cast of thousands over there, they're assembling hot boards for who could get this offensive coordinator position. And they may nail it. But I'll tell you this, I'd be calling pretty big name G5 head coaches, and I'd be offering this job to them because you never know until you kick the tires. You know, the state of affairs in college football right now is that there's some really, really good head coaches at the G5 level who are aggravated that they don't control their own fate. Now, to some extent, you never control your own fate. There's so many variables in the equation of being a college football head coach or, a coach, period. But the way those G5 guys look at it is you've got some really, really high caliber coaches who the better job they do, the more they get punished because the bigger fish come and grab their assistants and then they grab all their players, and you're actually being punished because you're doing a great job at recruiting and developing and coaching, and you're doing it all for what? For Wisconsin or for Alabama or for USC to come grab your guys at the 11th hour. And so some head coaches, not coordinators, some head coaches at the G5 level have privately told me that if the right coordinator position came open, they'd go take it. They'd go take it at the power level because they actually view that as a bridge worth crossing. Now, in classical terms, a generation prior, you'd view that as a demotion. You actually used to go get the coordinator position at Ohio State so that you could be seen, succeed, and then you go take the G5 head coaching job as your introduction into being a head coach. But that's not always the way it works anymore. Nowadays, guys are very, very sick and tired of their future being totally up in the air and totally, subject to the winds of change in college football at the G5 level, and they're saying, I'd rather go be a coordinator up there for a couple of years and then think about the offers that could come my way. So I would, at the very least, look at that. Now, I don't have specific names for you, but, Kelly's going to make $6 million per year. Jesse, is that right? $6 million per year to be the offensive coordinator of the Las Vegas Raiders. My goodness. Okay, so he was making a ton of money at Ohio State, and I think it was around $2 million a year. So, you know what? In retrospect, could we just golf clap for Chip Kelly? Did he really just triple his salary? If he did, and he doesn't have to recruit a single player, they still have the draft in the NFL? I think they do. Yeah, okay. All right, good for him. I will say one more thing, and we got to move on because we got a whole bunch of breaking news. Do you know Alabama's got a new offensive coordinator? It's not Nick Sheridan. Yeah. So do me a favor before I give you this last little nugget, little morsel out of my mind. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're doing college football all year. We actually don't do NFL, NBA, anything else. We're just doing college football. It helps us. It's free if you subscribe to the channel. And you don't sign up for anything and nothing else happens to you. It just helps us. So we appreciate that. Free advice to Ryan Day that I don't think he needs, but just in case he does, just in case he slipped into what Meemaw would call the success coma for just a second, you better not underestimate how many wolves are at the door. I know it's Ohio State, and I know that you're the big dog on the block, but the block's different now. You cannot underestimate how many wolves are at the door. You got some really, really aggressive coaches and really aggressive and hungry programs in your conference. And unlike years past where if you win a national championship, you enter the following year as the default favorite just because you're Ohio State and they're not. There is still a lot of truth to that. But the difference now is the door that you used to just be able to slam in folks' faces, it's not as fortified as it was in the past. And that's true for Ohio State. That's true for Georgia. We just saw this last year. That's true for anyone. There is no one immune from this in college football now. What NIL and the portal can do to your roster, coaches included, your entire roster, top to bottom in your building, can ravage you relative to what it used to be like. And so I don't necessarily have deep concern that there's a collective malaise over that program. So both fingers crossed on this. There's plenty of intensity up there. I'm sure we'll go up there at some point in the spring, and I'm sure I'll be reminded, and you forget I ever said anything like this. But I know if you're a fan, you can sigh, and you can take time to look in the mirror, and you can reflect, and you can go back and watch that replay of that game. You got to be full speed ahead because what used to be the case is, all right, if you're good enough to go win a national championship and you're a power program like Ohio State, if you fall back to earth next year, what is it, 10 wins? It can be worse than that. In modern college football, it can be worse than that. You're thinner than you used to be. Your requisite level of championship caliber depth that you used to take for granted is not there across the board anymore. You're losing two pretty world-class coordinators off your staff, and you don't know what other movement you'll have. Now, counter to that, I also don't know how he's going to backfill those positions. So we could look at it and say, wow, you went from great to great. And over here, great to pretty good or maybe great. So wait and see, totally fair. I just hope that same aggression is there, because we've seen it in years past. We've seen teams repeat. And then we've also seen in years past a team completely fall back to earth the next year, and then in the winter, everyone's talking about how complacency bit them in the butt. Well, you don't want that to happen.